Good morning, everyone. You okay, Greg?
I am not.
We need to take a recess. Good morning, everyone. Today's Thursday, September 9th, 2021. It's a little past 9 o'clock. We're going to start our meeting. Pam Harlan's the commission secretary. Pam, would you call the roll? Present.
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 Great. Well, our first order of business, we were in a closed session this morning, and we need to move out of a closed session and into the open meeting. So is there a motion to adjourn the closed session and move into open?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. We adjourn the closed session, move into open. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. We'll be in open session now. I want to welcome everyone today to our meeting. It's good to be in Springfield this morning. Just let everybody know the technology we've been using during the COVID pandemic has worked well for us as we've been doing some video meetings over the past year plus, I guess. And so we're going to continue that process, and we'll be live streaming the meeting today for the public, the people that want to watch the meeting at home or in their office. We're going to start today with the brief safety emphasis, and I'm going to ask Aaron Underwood, the Southwest District General Services Manager, to come forward. Good morning, Aaron.
Chairman Waters, Commissioners, Director McKenna, Secretary Harlan, Chief Hassinger, welcome to Springfield. It's always nice to have the commission in the Southwest District. Since safety is MoDOT's top value and priority, I have a few safety reminders this morning. In the event of a fire, everyone will exit out of the nearest rear door of the room and make their way to the most convenient emergency exits. There's emergency exits both on to your left and to your right. After exiting the room, after exiting the building, we'll all meet on the east side of the building. That's the front of the building, up by Glenstone Avenue, and we're going to make sure and stay away from the building as much as we can, and stay out of the way of any emergency vehicles that may arrive. If there's a small fire, there's a fire extinguisher in the hallway, and I've asked Steve Campbell to retrieve that and use it as needed. In the event of severe weather, we will shelter in place in this room. If we must evacuate this room, hotel staff will be stationed throughout the building to guide us to the appropriate location. Please take a moment to make note of who you're sitting next to and make sure that upon your arrival to the designated safe location, that your neighbor has arrived as well. If there's a medical emergency, most people in this room are CPR certified. I will call 911 and direct emergency responders to our location. Steve Campbell has volunteered to administer CPR, and Captain Justin McCullough will assist him if necessary. There is an AED located in the podium, and Sergeant Tom Hall will retrieve the AED in the event of a medical emergency. Sensitive subject, but one we must discuss. I want to bring your attention to what to do if there's an intruder or an active shooter. There are 3 basic principles to follow in the case of an active shooter: run, hide, or fight. Run and escape if possible. Getting away from the shooter is the top priority. Hide if escape is not possible. If you can't exit the building, find a safe place to hide. Try to barricade the doors. Make yourself safe by turning off your cell phones and turning down the lights. And then fight as an absolute last resort. Throw items, improvise weapons, like chairs, fire extinguishers, whatever you have to do to distract or disarm the shooter. And that concludes today's Safety Minute. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Aaron. This time we'd like to recognize special guests. Not that you're not all special. We appreciate everyone being here. We do have the Honorable Mayor of Springfield here today. Kim McCleary, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Mr. Chairman, we have another special guest here today. I think today is, what is today, Terry?
It's Chairman Waters' birthday.
So he is a special guest today.
All
new little speech now.
That was it. Thank you.
Don't you think we should sing happy birthday to him?
No.
I really do.
I've-
Happy
Oh,
birthday.
first grade.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Tom. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, my. Thank you.
You guys did get that all recorded, didn't you?
I appreciate Greg stopping singing halfway through. Thank you. Thanks for putting up with me. Okay, back to business. I want to remind everyone we do have a public comment period for members of the public or any Missourian that wants to address the commission. We ask that you sign up before 9:30 this morning. Outside the door, you can sign up, and then towards the end of the meeting, we'll have that comment period. We allow 5 minutes for public comments or 10 minutes per subject. Next, I'll review the abstention process. Commissioners that may have landowner, business interests, or lawyers that may represent clients with interests and matters coming before the commission that might have a potential or actual conflict. When considering our votes, the commission member will indicate if he or she chooses to abstain from voting or recuse himself. If the agenda item is divisible by contract, call, project, or something like that, the commissioner can specify that and vote on the other parts of the issue. This information is all provided to our commission secretary before the meeting, and she will put it in the minutes and record it accordingly. Madam Secretary, have the letters been prepared? Very good. Okay, first item of business, consideration of minutes from the regular meeting on July 1st and the special meeting on August 3rd. Is there any corrections or additions to the minutes?
I move they be approved.
Second.
The move and second, we approve the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Next is a consideration of items on the consent agenda. Is there any item that needs to be removed from the consent agenda, discussed later? Or is there a motion to approve this consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
The move and second, we approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Very good. Motion carries. And we're going to pause at this time and ask Chief Engineer Ed Hassinger. He's got some comments on some of the stuff we just did within the consent agenda. So, Ed?
Yeah, one of the things you just approved was the authority for us to move forward with doing the Chester Bridge as a design build project. And if you remember 2 months ago, we had an emergency repair contract that we rejected due to it being excessive. And I think in consultation with our partners in Illinois, we've made the decision that it's better to just move forward with the replacement instead of spending millions and millions of dollars to hold this thing together. And we think we can get to the end and get a new bridge with a much better outcome for everybody. A little bit of a risk, but using the design build model is going to allow us to move faster. And really the thing that I wanted to just highlight to you this morning is we've already picked our project director. And so Brian Okenfoos, who was formerly our area engineer in the northern part of the Southeast District, has agreed to take on that project director role. And I will be giving him the authority of the chief engineer to move that project forward. So we're really excited for Brian. He's going to be a great leader on that project and a big, important project with our partners in Illinois. So good news today. Thank you for approving the design build authority.
Great. Thanks, Ed. That's going to make a lot of people in Southeast Missouri and Southwest Illinois happy. So it's good to get that project underway. We'll move now to our committee and board reports. First up is the audit committee. Commissioner Brinkman chairs the audit committee. Also serving are Commissioner Briscoe and Commissioner Eckert. Bob, do you have a report?
I do. We met August 31st and reviewed and accepted one internal audit report, which was the review and design exception documentation and approvals. The next audit committee meeting is October 2021.
Thank you, Bob. Commissioner Briscoe and I serve as co-chairs of the legislative committee, and I think John has a report from the legislative committee. John?
I do, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. And this is kind of a long-winded rascal, but anyway, with the legislature's successful passage of an increase in the state's fuel tax during the last legislative session, MoDOT staff continues to work with and educate elected officials on how these new revenues will be used to address the state's transportation needs. The first 2.5 cents of the new 12.5 cent fuel tax goes into effect on October 1 of this year. The remaining 10-cent increase will be phased in 2.5 cents a year over the next 4 years, beginning on July 1. We again want to thank the legislature for passing this revenue increase, and Governor Parson, who signed the bill into law, which went into effect on August 28. As we all know, safety is MoDOT's number one core value, followed by service and stability. As a public agency, we must do everything we can to protect the traveling public and MoDOT employees who work in harm's way each day along the state's busy highways and interstates. Therefore, MoDOT is again proposing a safety legislative measure to help address the dangerous behavior of distracted driving. Missouri's current law, passed in 2009, prohibits drivers 21 years of age and under from using a handheld electronic communications device for texting while driving. MoDOT would like to see the current law expanded to prohibit all drivers from using a handheld electronic communications device for almost any purpose. This law change would reduce the number of distracted drivers and provide greater safety for all public and private employees who work alongside the roadway. It will also provide greater protection for the most vulnerable users of the transportation system, including pedestrians, bicyclists, and motorcyclists. 24 states and the District of Columbia currently prohibit all drivers from using handheld cell phones, while text messaging is banned for all drivers in 48 states and the District of Columbia. Prohibiting the handheld use of cell phones while driving would help reduce the most common type of distracted driving. During the last 5 years, at least 409 people have been killed in Missouri traffic crashes involving a distracted driver. The number is likely higher than that, as it is often difficult for a reporting officer to determine if cell phone use was involved in a crash. Much like impaired driving laws, this proposal could help reduce the number and severity of traffic crashes and provide law enforcement officers with an effective mechanism for removing distracted drivers from Missouri highways. No law on its own will eliminate all the poor behaviors leading to deadly crashes on Missouri highways. However, sound public policy is part of a comprehensive solution to changing behaviors, and a good law can be especially effective when coupled with public awareness and enforcement. As in past legislative sessions, MoDOT has and will continue to work with a broad coalition of safety partners, ranging from automobile manufacturers and hospitals to cell phone providers, in pursuit of the passage of this legislation. While this legislative initiative received a public hearing in the House during the 2021 session, it failed to receive favorable legislative approval. However, the Commission believes it must continue to educate and seek the support of our elected officials to provide greater safety to the traveling public and highway workers. Other priorities to be considered during the 2022 legislative session will be outlined during the Department's appropriations presentation by Todd Grossmanner. Today, the Department is seeking the Commission's consensus on this priority piece of legislation, with the understanding this proposal will be shared with Governor Parson to be considered as part of his legislative agenda for the 2022 session. If everyone nods in agreement, then the department will be able to proceed with this legislative initiative. Thank you to Jay and Patrick. We give you our support on this important safety measure and wish you well as you guide the proposal through the legislative process. Please let us know how we can help with that effort in this next session. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, John. You know, we usually have a long list of legislative items, and you notice this year we've toned that long list down. And that's because we feel this is vitally important. This is a piece of issue that we can't sit by any longer. We've got to push hard. And so really going to focus this year. Jay and his team, Patrick, they're going to work hard on this year, on this issue. And so I think it just shows the emphasis that we as a commission are going to put on this as well. So thanks, John. Thanks, Jay and Patrick, for your work on this. And we're right behind you on this. Commissioner Greg Smith is the president of the Missouri Transportation and Finance Corporation. He and Commissioner Eckert serve on that board. Greg, do you have a report?
I did, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. The board received its 13th Certificate of Achievement from the Government Finance Officers Association for excellence in financial reporting. And Brenda, Todd, thank you guys and your team. You work hard, and that's a real honor to 13 years. We really appreciate it. The board approved one loan totaling $7,752,705 to the city of St. Charles for improvements to Route 94, Route 364, and is it Mugie Road? Mugie Road. Thank you, sir. So our next meeting will be in October, and we've got some loans I think we're looking at. But again, Todd, thank you. Brenda, thank you. That concludes my report.
Thanks. We'll move to the Emperor's Board. Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Brinkman, and Commissioner Boatwright serve on the Emperor's Board. And it looks like Commissioner Boatwright has a report today.
Thank you, Chairman Waters. The board has not met recently. We have had some committee meetings on investment, and we also had a training on a new Board Smart software that is going to enable us on our continuing education hours to interact in an online platform, which is pretty exciting. I think it's looking at the program. I think it's a really good program. Our next board meeting is scheduled for September 23rd, 2021. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thanks, Dustin. That concludes our committee and board reports. Patrick McKenna is the director of the Missouri Department of Transportation. Patrick, we're ready for your report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks all for being here. I just want to start by thanking and recognizing that we're going to hear a presentation from the Springfield Chamber, City of Republic, and Ozarks Transportation Organization, OTO. I just want to recognize not only them, but the city of Springfield. Mayor, thank you for being here. We really find success here in Springfield because of the partnerships that are shared and because of the hard work that Springfield does to plan out and to make difficult choices in selecting transportation priorities to help build and develop the region. This is a vital and really sometimes, I guess, underappreciated part of the process that we go through. The work that is done at the local level, that the commission has, I think, over the decades had the wisdom to seek out local input into the project selection process in the state, I think is the key to having had reasonable success even with very limited funding over the years. And, as we look ahead and see, with some optimism, some of the resources that are being brought to bear both at the state level and what we hope to be at the federal level, I think that the way that we're going to succeed is to continue to strengthen those partnerships and work together. But I just wanted to recognize the really true partnership that we've had here in Springfield and this whole region over the years. And you can see it when you're here in Springfield. You can see it, you can feel it. This is a tremendous community and it's growing and vibrant. So I just wanted to mention that and recognize that. Also wanted to turn it over to Ed for an update on a pretty exciting innovation that we're working on. That is, part of the developing partnership and research that we have with the university system. Ed?
About a year and a half ago, some of you were with us as we christened the Missouri Center for Transportation Innovation, which is a collaborative between MoDOT and the 4 Missouri system universities to further research. And I can tell you that the pandemic kind of slowed us down a little bit, but we got things rolling, and we've got the administrative part of that underway, and we're awarding, federal research dollars to those universities to really benefit us and move forward with, the things we need to do to try to be innovative. And one of the things we offered up in that discussion was, we said, you've got labs, we've got labs, but we've got one lab that nobody has, and that's a real-time 34,000-mile system that we would allow you to do research on. And so here's the first one that has come to fruition as a result of that. You know that plastic bottles are a big issue, right? You see the island in the Pacific made out of plastic. And so a collaboration with the University of Missouri and Columbia, Dow Chemical, and MoDOT, we've put forward a project to resurface Stadium Boulevard in Columbia. And part of that project is going to use recycled plastic bottles in the asphalt mix. So most of the project is traditional asphalt, and then we've got a 2-mile section with various mixes of different strategies on putting plastic into the asphalt to use that as a recycled material. And so the project is brand new, just started, but they'll do the research over the next couple of years and see if that is a viable alternative, both to be environmentally responsible, but also maybe to have a benefit in the durability and longevity of our asphalt mixes. So we're really excited about that. And one of the things that I just found interesting in the mix, it's 1% of the mix, really small amount, but that really adds up. So in that 2-mile section of road, there's going to be 10 tons of recycled material, and that equates to about 750,000 plastic bottles.
Wow.
In a 2-mile stretch. So, and many years ago, they said MoDOT was crazy when we started putting asphalt tear-off shingles in our mix. And now we've become the national leader in doing that. And so maybe this will be the beginning of something else that will become the national leader in putting plastic bottles in our asphalt mix. So we're pretty excited about it.
So we need to drink more water, right?
No, that's probably not what we're trying to go for. We'll get rid of the bottles that you've already drank. How's that?
Right. Yeah, there's a lifetime of those to go. And the thing Ed didn't mention is even with all that innovation, that asphalt was down before opening day of Mizzou's football season, which was pretty important to the university. So, but it is exciting. And that was leadership of the commission to think ahead and to support that collaboration with the university system. Prior to that collaboration, those federal dollars that are allocated to Missouri, we were sending to other state universities. And so, Ed's leadership and his connection into the university system and many others at MoDOT are pretty excited about this. And Jen Harper is doing a great job coordinating that effort on MoDOT's behalf. This time of the year, we have described this in the past, but we do have this kind of strange federal process that's called August redistribution. And it's essentially when there are unobligated funds in the federal program that could be redistributed within the overall limits for each state. And you have an opportunity to compete for those funds by submitting detailed project listings and timetables as to when you can obligate those federal funds. And I will say that this year in particular, with all of the issues with the pandemic and all of the complexity of things that we've been dealing with, we're right now in the mid 980s in terms of total employees at MoDOT that have contracted COVID. this has been a challenging year. And the project development, financial services, planning groups have been working very hard to pull down all the federal funds available. And frankly, a couple months ago, we were a little behind on that. Even things that you wouldn't consider associated with the pandemic, like a delay in the court system for hearing condemnation cases, slow up the process for us because we have to mitigate those right-of-way impacts with people. And sometimes we do need for the public good to go through the court system to do that. There were backups in that delayed some of our projects. We continue to receive from our industry very competitive pricing. So some of our overall project numbers were coming in under budget. Well, that gave cap space to us to operate. And Eric Schrader and Travis Kessner and their teams and financial services, Todd and Brenda and the teams there really put some additional focus on this in the last 2 months. And we were 2 months ago, did not believe we could compete for August redistribution. That's just the facts. That's where we were. And we've been very successful with that over the last several years. So we're all a little disappointed with that. Well, this team rolled up their sleeves and got to it. And all of the at-risk projects were turned around. We got the obligations done, and we were able to apply for and receive a plan of $121 million on August redistribution. I think it's probably the hardest year that I've witnessed in over a decade in this industry for that very thing to come together. It's not really something, it's one of those behind the scenes things that is done, but it enables the state of Missouri to ensure that all of the available federal dollars will be pulled down this year. And I think I just want to tip my cap to the MoDOT team that got that done, and to all that worked on that, because that was a truly a team effort, and literally probably a couple hundred people involved to get that squared away. So thank you for that, and I just wanted to report that. This past month in August, Missouri celebrated its bicentennial. Really great event, but the MoDOT team participated in the state fair. Always a fun time, but as part of that, we handed out the update to the state map, and it was a bicentennial state map. I know Commissioner Brinkman was on hand for the celebration of that in St. Charles County, and the map itself has the current capital and the original capital on the back side. So that was really great, and we have for now a couple of years not been sponsoring any events at the fair as MoDOT. We've actually done sponsorship with our Buckle Up Phone Down campaign. So, the Thursday of the ham breakfast and all of that was actually the Buckle Up Phone Down day at the fair. So the things that are handed out, the bands to get in, all had that noted. And I tell you, it's during that week, we continue to see increases in people taking that pledge that we have to essentially, it's a voluntary pledge just to say, I will not, I won't actively use the phone, and I'll definitely buckle up when I'm in the vehicle. And 450 new signups to that campaign. We're now well over 13,000 people have signed that pledge. And frankly, that's going to save lives, maybe their own, maybe people they're riding with. But it's really great. The bicentennial itself is going to continue this month. Actually, on September 18th, there's a parade, a state parade, and in Jefferson City, and MoDOT's going to have a snowplow in the parade, and I think we've got a "We're hiring" sign on the snowplow that we're going to be parading around. So, but it's actually our communications team really came up with a very creative image that actually, we were founded in 1913, and we didn't have a mule team on the picture, but we've got probably a circa 1940s snowplow on there. So it really, the governor and the team wanted all state agencies to contribute a little bit and make reference to their history as part of the development of the state. So that's going to be fun. Last week we were actually, first time in a long time, but we had a regional meeting where we were together. We were in Chicago. A few of us went up and attended. It's the annual Mid-America Association of State Transportation Officials Conference. And I tell you, we had federal officials in, and it really is a great collaboration because we work very well with our partner states in the region. And we're really looking, one of the things we're really looking at, and this year's incoming president is a good friend of ours, Julie Lorenz from Kansas. And she's really doing a great job, I think, to look at even the proposed federal legislation that's coming up and taking a look and saying, there's the potential of $65 billion coming to the Midwestern states as part of this association, and really trying to strengthen those efforts to find ways to work across state boundaries to bring attention and to make sure that we're competing for discretionary dollars that are available. So there'll be more to follow on that, but really encouraging. And many of the people we talked to including some of our national representatives from AASHTO, including some of the representatives from Federal Highway that were there, including our new Federal Highway Administrator, Stephanie Pollock. They're relatively encouraged, I would say, and optimistic that there will be something done this fall to get that infrastructure bill moved along and passed. I'm cautiously optimistic, I guess is the way I would say it. But as we look at that and the potential benefits to the state, continuing to work with our federal partners and our regional partners is going to be, again, the path to success here. I was particularly encouraged by Administrator Pollock gave a very kind of an impassioned words on her view of, when you set aside all the policy, when you set aside all the things that are being done, when you set aside all the money, what's her deepest wish for progress in the next several years in her time as Federal Highway Administrator? And she actually just said, throw all that away. If we haven't actually improved the safety and reduced fatalities on our nation's highways, we haven't done our job. And that really strikes a chord with me. I talked with her after that, and I think there are going to be some really common grounds on that topic particularly that we can make some progress on. When we consider, if you look at the national highway system and what is federally eligible for reimbursement, and then you look at the state system here in Missouri, we have over 7,000 miles of road that are not part of the NHS, that are not part of that reimbursement cycle. And it strikes me as just sad that if we have a safety improvement that could be made, we wouldn't be able to help even a local community with them bringing their own resources forward. Why can't we pull federal dollars into that safety improvement? And frankly, I think we saw eye to eye on that. So we're gonna be working on that in the next couple of years, and I'll keep you posted on it. And that safety theme itself, today we're going to hear from Highway Patrol Troop D Captain Justin McCullough. Really appreciate him being with us, but he's going to talk about the increase in fatalities on our roadways. We've shared with you this alarming trend, and it's really, particularly during the pandemic, we've seen an increase in speed, aggressive driving, and inattention. And so we were really shocked to see, with traffic volumes going down, fatalities going up. And even as the traffic volume has come back, what we have not seen is a leveling off of that. So this is kind of a behavioral reset that went in the wrong direction, and it's having an impact, and it's just devastating when these fatalities happen. The driver behaviors are not only impacting the individuals, but they're putting our teams at risk, both the Highway Patrol, ourselves, our construction partners. And one of the most egregious examples of that is we're seeing increased hits on our truck mounted attenuators. You know, when a MoDOT maintenance crew closes a lane to work in the road, they use these truck mounted attenuators to alert the public that we're working in the roadway. And I am just amazed that these get hit in the first place, because you literally can't be looking ahead of you at all to hit one of these. They're intended to capture your attention, but they're also built to absorb the impact of the crash itself. And, you know, in 2020, we had our highest number of crashes into our TMAs. We had 48 statewide. So far in 2021, still a few months to go, we've had 51. So it's amazing. And, you know, we have to do this work. Pothole patching, sweeping, and striping are the top 3 operations crews. The top 3 duties that were being performed by our crews when a TMA was hit. So, you know, the notion of this continuing, we're really struggling to get that word out, but we have to continue to do that. We appreciate, the Highway Patrol for their partnership, but also to bring attention to this, because, you know, our partners at the Highway Patrol are at risk too when they're out there. And that inattention and speed, those things and distraction are just a fatal combination, and we've got to do better. This month, I just want to express my appreciation to the commission for challenging the department. That's one of the good things that does happen in this, you know, challenging us to go deeper, go further, and solve problems that are vexing problems that have plagued us for years and decades. But the open workshop that we had yesterday, talking about our workforce challenges, where you had an opportunity to hear directly from MoDOT staff about the challenges that they face on a daily basis. You know, when you hear the statistics about 700 people at MoDOT being eligible for food stamps, that's shocking. But when you hear it from our team and what their daily struggles are, when you hear that our employees that need to work second jobs, but because they're in safety sensitive positions here and can't perfectly outline their own schedule during winter maintenance and things like that, and they've had to leave other jobs where they were making more money, and they need that money, but they also need the benefit. You know, I mean, this is the struggle of life that is going on. And for 15 years, we've continued to get behind, and we've focused. The department is focused. We've right-sized the organization. We've brought it down to the point where essentially we've saved a lot of operating dollars, and we've put those out on the roadways. And I think I said it yesterday. You know, we have saved over $100 million a year since that Boulder initiative, and all of that has gone into the roadways. And frankly, we need to put some of that savings into our employees. And I appreciate the commission being willing to go through that. Turnover is a big issue for us. Over the last 5 years, we've averaged 600 people leaving MoDOT a year. This year, we're on track to have over 800 people leave. And that pace of change, turnover to some degree is good and healthy. We have long been in an unhealthy rate of turnover. It's stressing the organization and those that are still here. And one of the top reasons, and it is consistent as to why people leave, is because of other job opportunities that pay more. So, we've developed multi-year pay strategies in the past, and sometimes only received partial funding as we've gone through the process. But we are going to do better, and I appreciate the commission's support. We have budget requests coming forward and some actions we're going to be taking in the next couple months, and I look forward to that work. The other thing we're going to do is talk about the condition of our assets here, the thing we're tasked with maintaining in a workshop this afternoon. And I also appreciate the commission's direction and desire for us to get that done in a more balanced way and to address problems of divergent conditions across the state and find ways to do that. And that's what we're tasked with, and that's what we're gonna do. So I look forward to that discussion, and I thank the commission for your leadership in that. So, Mr. Chairman, with that, that's my report. Thank you.
Thanks, Patrick. Any comments, questions
Not
for
a
Patrick?
question, just a comment, but of all the good news and the bad news and the increasing number of these vehicles hitting our TMAs, 3 more than last year in 20, and hell, we've got 5 months left to go. It's just disturbing. Somehow we've just got to keep pounding that message out there. It's just distracted driving. It's what it is. They're texting or just, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's why that legislative.
Fatalities up 12% last year over 2019, almost 1,000 fatalities. I mean, I just don't understand people, I've been in a fatality accident, double fatality. So it's, I just don't understand people, what they're thinking about. But
Yeah, and
these
that's
guys back here, they do a good job, and they see this stuff and walk up on it, but I don't know what it's going to take to wake people up. But we appreciate the patrol and your hard work too. And we appreciate our employees out there putting their life on the line every day for
That's right.
very minimal, $30,000 a year. They can go to McDonald's and make that. But anyway, that was just a comment, just venting. Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? I could go on a 30-minute rant about these TMAs, but these things are huge. They're well lit. They got lights. Some of them have audible signals, and people are still running into them. We've got to pay attention on the road. And I know we're going to keep pounding it and keep working on it, but it's a huge issue, and it just amazes me that they're still getting hit after all we do.
Mr. Chairman, on another fairly unpleasant subject, the General Assembly changed the law requiring people to wear helmets to ride motorcycles, and that's the craziest darn thing I've ever heard of. Thank you.
There you go. There you go. All right. Thank you, Patrick. Our relationship is good with the Missouri State Highway Patrol. We work well with them. They work with our employees out on the road. And today, it's always good to have someone from the patrol address the commission. It's been a while, though. We haven't had somebody from the patrol for quite a while. And so I'm excited today that Captain Justice McCullough is here to address the commission. And I just noticed the topic or the heading on his presentation says combating the rise in fatalities in Troop D. And I noted that it doesn't say combating fatalities. It says combating the rise in fatalities. And that in itself is disturbing. So, Captain McCullough, the floor is yours. Thank you for being here.
Director McKenna, members of the commission, I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak today. About 2 months ago, the superintendent of the Highway Patrol, Colonel Eric Olson, challenged each troop commander during our commanders conference to present statistical data and what each troop is doing to combat the rise in fatalities within their respective areas. And in that, I reached out to my good friend Steve Campbell for some statistical data, and as a result of that, he asked if I could come and present what I presented at the commanders conference today to the commission, and I obviously obliged and appreciate the opportunity. That close working relationship is not only within law enforcement and other agencies, it's within the patrol and MoDOT to combat any rise in injury, crashes, and fatalities. And I'm blessed to say that we have a good working relationship here in Southwest Missouri. It's routinely, Steve will call me and have something, whether it's a sinkhole out on the interstate or whatever the case may be. He asks, and we try to put personnel and resources to combat whatever is going on. And the same holds true if he has an issue. Or if I have an issue, I'll call him and he will oblige as well. Which really, from a public safety standpoint, is what we have to have, and that's what we have. So that's good to say. I'm glad to say that. I won't take up a whole lot of your time today, but I did want to present some of our statistical information that I've learned over studying some of this. And within Troop D, there was one point in the year we were up about 40% in fatalities in the troop. I guess somewhat happy to say, or I am happy to say, we're only at 16% in the rise now. It's not 40%, but until we can get back down to under a decrease, that's our mission. And the mission of the Highway Patrol obviously is to promote highway safety, reduce traffic crashes altogether, and promote safety. And we do that through enforcement, education, and what we know is visibility on the highway is the number one way to change driving behavior. So stopping cars, them seeing us on the side of the road changes their behavior. It changes. I mean, when I'm driving down the road, if I see a police officer, and I am a police officer, I immediately, think, wow, they're out. And, everybody around me starts to see that. So that is what we know works. And that's something that we are really obviously promoting as an agency, because as a state, I think we're about 1% to 2% up from what we were last year. And last year we were up quite a bit from what we were in 2019. So in line with what we know about the rise in fatalities, I looked at what were the probable contributing circumstances that we are noticing when we go to these crashes and investigate them. And obviously speed is the main probable contributing circumstance. It has been for about the last, about every year, but I looked at statistically about the last 4 years, and it's always in the top 5, too fast for conditions or exceeding the speed limit. But that distracted and inattentive driving is always there also. And there's a multitude of distractions that people can have when they're driving, from using the cell phone to eating to putting on makeup to reading a book. I've seen it all. And people just don't oftentimes appreciate the privilege it is to drive. And I've in talking to some of our crash reconstructionists, one thing that always stood out to me is one of them told me one time, crashes happen for one of two reasons. One, someone was doing something they shouldn't have been while they were driving, or two, someone wasn't doing something they should have been while they were driving. And that really holds true. So whether it's sending a text message, an email, or reading a book, or eating, whatever the case may be, that distracted driving piece is always there. And anything we can do to combat that is something that will obviously increase highway safety across the board. When I look specifically at the Southwest region, Greene County obviously leads the league in our fatality crashes, and that's to be expected, because that's the biggest population biggest population area of the troop. And the fatal crashes in Greene County make up about 25% of the troop's fatal crashes. So that's not surprising. I mean, that's what we would expect. About 37% occur on state numbered roadways, and about 15% occur on U.S. roadways. Obviously, the state lettered routes, state numbered routes are usually your 2-lane roadways. You don't have cable barriers. You don't have a lot of the safety features that you have on the interstate system. So that could attribute to more of those crashes, and obviously the higher incidence of fatals and injury crashes. So what are we doing as a troop or as an agency to combat some of these crashes? Obviously, we do our special enforcement operations. Thus far, from January 1 to September 4th of 2021, Troop D's completed 2 seatbelt operations, 11 hazardous moving saturations, 7 DWI saturations that have accumulated into 53 DWI arrests, 296 seatbelt arrests, and a total of 1,260 arrests just in those special operations. Now, that's in addition to our normal routine patrols. These are special targeted enforcement operations on these high crash location areas. Is kind of where we target our enforcement on these special operations. In addition to that, we had 2,300 warnings. So there's a lot of contacts being made, and that's really my barometer on what we're doing enforcement wise, is the number of contacts we're making. It's not about the number of tickets. It's about the number of times we've stopped somebody on the side of the road and people see us on the side of the road. That visibility piece is huge. And you also change driving behavior, and it's not just giving tickets, because you can educate someone on the side of the road and not giving them a ticket and giving them a warning. And they're A, appreciative of that. B, they think twice maybe before they do that kind of driving behavior in the future. So that's the goal. Sometimes we're more effective at that than others, but that's our mission. Another thing we did, when I say we were up about 40%, that was in the first part of the year, and some of that could be attributed to weather. Weather plays a huge role in traffic crashes, traffic fatalities, injuries, and at the beginning of the year, we had a lot of snow events, ice events, and things like that. So around on March 10th, we implemented something in Troop D, a special paid opportunity for our officers to come on 2 hours early. If they were scheduled on at 8, they could come on at 6, or if they were scheduled off at 4, they could stay 2 hours later on their shift. Because what we want to do is, we know our peak traffic times throughout the day are the morning rush and the afternoon rush. So if we could have more officers out during those times, being more visible, stopping more cars, and we know that that's going to impact driving behavior again. And that's when our highest frequency of crashes occurs, when those peak traffic times. I mean, this isn't rocket science. This is stuff that we know and we've used year in, year out. But this is something that we're doing to try to target and impact and make a difference on those peak traffic times. And I'm proud to say, I guess, that since then, and there's a multitude of factors, I'm not saying that this is the only one, but we've reduced that percentage from 40 down to 16 since that rollout of that project. So whether that is 100% it, I know it's not 100% it, but that's just one part of the puzzle. And we have to constantly be looking at innovative ways to try to change driving behavior. And that was one that we did. And I think it's worked out well. Another thing, we filled 8 vacancies in August. Obviously, we're hiring also, just like everybody else, and it's hard to find, good qualified people that want to do this job. So filling those vacancies through transfers in and through hiring is obviously going to make a difference as well, because that's more officers out there being more visible. Other things that we've done 34, our public information officers are out, 34 educational programs. If we can prevent something before it happens through education, that's a win also. Our public service announcements have aired 5,252 times. That's through just the end of June, so I'm sure that number is higher than it is now. And we get information out through our Troop D Twitter feed. And again, that's where the majority of people get their news anymore, is through Twitter and Facebook. So we've used that as an avenue to get the word out. Collaborative efforts that we've done with other agencies. Not only do we work well with MoDOT, we work well with other agencies. And I don't know if anybody's driven on Highway 65 between Interstate 44 and US 60 in the last month or so, but our motorcycle officers have worked with Springfield motorcycle officers. And I mean, it's a spectacle, because I know I drove it during 2 of the operations, and we had upwards of 5 or 6 cars stopped at one time. Now that makes a difference. I mean, people notice that when every time they look up, there's somebody on the side of the road on both sides of the highway. And through those projects, we had 133 traffic stops. This is us and Springfield PD, 133 traffic stops with a total of 80 speed arrests, total of 95 arrests, and 107 warnings. So that's just 2 operations that we conducted. So that makes a big difference. And that corridor between Interstate 44 and US 60 on 65 is a very heavily traveled area. So again, people see us more, that the driving behavior changes. So that's just some of the things that we're doing. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak, and I know we still have work to be done. We look at those high traffic fatality areas, and we try to move our resources to those areas as much as we can. So that's a moving target that changes from month to month, year to year, because of driving behavior, driving patterns. So at any rate, that's what I had to present. Does anyone have any questions?
Questions or comments?
Not a question, just a comment. I was in Branson a couple of weeks ago, and there were 3 motorcycle officers between Sunshine and Campbell. It's not Campbell, Sunshine and I don't know, one of those
Could be
roads
Kearney,
over there.
Campbell,
Yeah.
44.
And they were all over the place. So.
Yeah.
And then you got a nice road over there. It's kind of a freeway. You can fly down through there.
Yeah.
But
No, you
Anyway.
can't.
Well, you
You
can't.
couldn't that day, for sure.
I was riding, I wasn't driving, I'm sorry. When you're driving those Fords, it's hard to hold them down. Anyway, we appreciate Colonel Olson's leadership. He's a great guy and a friend of mine, and we appreciate you guys and all you troopers. We know he's hiring things the same with you guys, and
Yeah,
always looking for good people. And
we've got a
Well,
lot of
we do.
retirements coming up in the future, and we're looking at whatever we can to try to hire the most qualified people possible.
Yeah. Tell Ryan Pace I said hi.
I will.
Other comments, questions?
Oh, Captain, we all appreciate you. I just wondered if, for everyone's edification, can you give us a tip on how you get from a warning to an arrest?
I can give you a tip on how not to get stopped, probably. But, no, there's really no tips there. It's just
That master sticker in the back. I've got
Will a
mine there.
master sticker help you?
no, probably not. That's usually not one of our parameters that we look at before we write a ticket. But
Thank you for everything you do.
Yeah, I had a comment. Thank you for your report, Captain McCullough. And we appreciate what you and the patrol do, and we know that it's a thankless job sometimes. So thanks for your service, and we're glad of our partnership with you with the Missouri Coalition for Roadway Safety. And I think us working together as partners, we can hopefully reduce these traffic fatalities. So thank you, and buckle up, phone down.
That's right. That's right. Certainly working together is always a big benefit. Even though it is challenging times for law enforcement in the Southwest area. I mean, I think when it gets be more challenging nationwide in Missouri, more people will come out to us and voice their appreciation for law enforcement. And I know it's daily that we get people come up to us and thank us for what we do. So, nationwide, yes, it's a challenge, and I think that kind of leads to that hiring issue on top of the pandemic. But in Missouri, especially rural Missouri, law enforcement is still, very much appreciated.
Great. Thank you. I've had the opportunity to ride with some trooper friends of mine over the years, and we don't always think about it, but those troopers, when they're walking up on a car, there's always that moment of apprehension, sitting back in the trooper car and watching him walk up there. It's a dangerous job, and you don't know what you're going to see from one moment to the next. So to have people like you and your fellow troopers out there doing that for us, that's quite a thing. We appreciate it. So thanks for
Thank you
being
very
here.
much.
I would like to mention, we built Troop C up there, and my wife and I got to go through the Citizens Academy. And for anyone in this room who has not done the Citizens Academy Highway Patrol, it is spectacular. It was just wonderful. I'd been through the FBI. You guys were 10 times better than the FBI.
I mean, that's no surprise, but
But
no,
if
we
you-
actually have a Citizen Academy going to start in, what is it, Mike? Is it October 6th, I think? Are we still recruiting people for that, the Citizens Academy or Community Alliance? The Community Alliance, when does it start?
It's going to start September 30th, and I'm still accepting applications through our website under services. Under the heading services on our website, it's easy to see what you see it. And then go to Student Alliance and Community Alliance. That's an application process there. I'm taking those through tomorrow.
So is that true with all the troops? It's on each troop's website to get in there?
I don't know if every troop, we kind of staggered a little bit. The Community Alliance is 1 year, and then the Student Alliance is the next year. Is that how we work it?
Typically, that's how we do it, and we also alternate between the Carthage, Joplin area, and Springfield this year.
And last year we had to cancel. That's why we're doing it this year.
It
This
is
will be an off
wonderful. If
year.
you haven't done it, I would sign up for it.
I echo what you say, Bob. I did it a couple of years ago in Troop A, and it is great. It really, really is. interesting.
Exposes people to.
It really does. It just
really
makes
what
you.
we do on a
you
day in,
wake
day
up,
out. You get
you know.
to shoot, you experience what it's like to do a traffic stop and things like that. Not out on the road, but we do it in a controlled environment. But I've participated in it in other troops, and it's definitely something that opens the eyes of most people, I think.
We lost two city officers in 8 months up in Clinton, and that's Colonel Karsten encouraged me to go to that, and it was very good, really was. So I'd encourage everybody to do that. Mayor, you need to try that.
All right. Thank you, Captain. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
We're going to move now from our highway patrol partners to other partners. And I'm going to introduce the next three speakers if they want to work this way. David Cameron is the city administrator for the City of Republic. Matt Morrow is the president and CEO of the Springfield Area Chamber of Commerce. And Sarah Fields is the executive director of the Ozark Transportation Organization. I think all three of you are going to speak. Is that right? Okay, good. Well, I'll turn the floor over to David first. Welcome.
I'm Matt Morrow with the.
Matt,
with the
sorry.
Springfield Chamber. No worries at all. I've been called much worse than Dave Cameron. But very, very grateful for the opportunity to be here with you today and to address the commission. And I would be remiss if I didn't also thank the Highway Patrol for the tremendous work that they do throughout this region. I think the captain's right. There's a lot of regard for the work that not just the patrol, but police officers and sheriff's officials here do. And so we're incredibly thankful for their protection and for their work here. Also really thankful for your work as a commission, for Director McKenna's leadership, and for the tremendous team throughout MoDOT, for Steve Campbell for the chance to work closely with him in partnership in this part of the state. It's truly partnership. Director McKenna talked about this a moment ago, and I couldn't say it better than he said it. It's an expectation in this part of the state, in the Springfield area. It's an expectation that leaders will collaborate, that we'll work together, in partnership. It's a region that's large enough that we feel like we can accomplish almost anything, and small enough that we can't do any of it by ourselves. We have to work together. And so that's part of what drives that expectation, I believe. And it's part of what has driven so much success over the years in terms of the work that's happened, particularly in our transportation system here. You're going to hear from some of our partners today. You've heard others pointed out. The mayor's here from Springfield, of course, and I think I saw Steve Childers is the city administrator for City of Ozark, and there are others throughout the area, of course, who can't be here today, but who work together all the time. And you'll hear from, of course, David and Sarah in just a little bit as well. Our partnership with the commission and with MoDOT over the years has really built a great deal of faith in the local process to identify needs and to prioritize those needs, and then to be accountable with and to one another for our spending of public dollars on the construction of those needs as well. Specifically, I want to go to the next slide, and I'm not sure am I controlling? I'm controlling slides. I can do this. I can't just say it and expect it to happen, but I can click it. So I want to thank you for your leadership on this tremendous success of this legislative session with SB 262, the fuel tax, as a Chamber of Commerce and regional partners throughout the area. We have, of course, all advocated for something like this for a long time, and it was a real privilege to advocate alongside you successfully this year. Of course, tremendous leadership from elected officials to help us get to this important milestone as well. I think that the aforementioned partnership with the commission and with MoDOT is part of what has built the faith that allowed for those partners to come to the table quickly with what turned out to be a new and creative proposal in this legislative session, but to come to the table quickly because the trust had been built ahead of time through partnership. You've heard said before, a crisis is a terrible time to establish a friendship, right? You need those friendships before the crisis. You need those friendships before, in this case, the opportunity that came with this legislation. So we look forward to continuing our work with you as transportation projects continue to come to fruition as well. I want to share just a little bit about the local economy, the regional economy here in Southwest Missouri and the Springfield region in particular. You'll see here population growth from the last 10 years, the census period. Interesting note that since the establishment of Springfield's charters, as Springfield became a city here in Missouri, which is over 150 years ago, there has not been a single census period where our population declined. It's been a very remarkably consistent amount of growth that's happened in population over that time. And as you can see, our metro area in the last 10 years grew nearly 9%, which is about twice the national average for metro areas in the U.S. And as you can see, over that 10-year period of time, it's among the top fastest growing regions of the state as well. And if you drill down a little bit further on that to just the last 3 years, you'll see that our growth here in this region has accelerated even further than the other the other leading parts of the state as well. And again, even as some parts of the state of Missouri's population growth seems to be slowing down, we are accelerating. And over the past 3 years, again, it's about twice the national average in terms of growth rate for MSAs. And we have reason to believe that that growth rate is actually probably going to go a little faster in the next 10 years. There's a lot of good reason to believe that. We're doing a lot of things to try to make that happen, actually. But we're seeing some good progress in that regard. The data seems to indicate that it's beginning to move in that direction. And the growth that's happening here is not just in population, it's also in just real gross domestic output as a region. And you can see on this chart that the growing population here means more workers. And as someone who works in the economic development space, our team works in that space a lot to try to attract new business to the area or help existing businesses expand here. The number one barrier wherever anyone is going to expand their business is workforce availability. And so a growing population, particularly a population that's growing about twice the national average, is a real advantage in answering the number one question that most businesses have. And as a result, because there are workers available for growing companies, companies tend to grow here. So in recent years, we've seen significant job growth and have announced expansion projects from companies like Kraft, John Deere, American Airlines, North Star Battery, and many other projects throughout the area as well, including attraction projects for companies like Amazon, Vital Farms, Veteran United's new arm. Some of you might know Veterans United from Columbia, but their new arm is Patio Home Loans, and they've located here as well. This is just broadly reflective of the in the GDP growth that you see here, that we really don't anticipate slowing down anytime soon. In fact, the projected GDP growth for this year, as you see here for 2021 projection, is almost 25% ahead of the U.S. and the rest of Missouri's projected GDP growth. And I think we may be conservative on this because, as you can see there, we're projecting an unemployment rate of 3.3%. We stand today at 2.8% unemployment in this metro, which is great if you're looking for work, but it's hard to hire. So we're obviously wanting to keep that population growing. The next slide gives us a couple of pieces of the puzzle. The first here that I would just ask you to look at is on the left, and then we'll move to the state map on the right. But on the left, you see a picture of kind of the very diverse economy that exists here in Southwest Missouri. It's one of the things that has always been a strength here is it's a balanced economy. Doesn't have one or two sectors that just runs way out in front of everything else. This is the job mix, essentially, the number of jobs in this region for each of these categories. Manufacturing, logistics, very strong in our part of the country. And of course, one of the reasons that we're so committed to investing in transportation infrastructure, we believe that not just Southwest Missouri, but the state generally is geographically positioned to be a transportation, logistics, and distribution hub. And we give up an enormous natural advantage if we're not really investing in those highways. And I know that you agree with that. Springfield's a hub for an area of over 1 million people for healthcare and retail. There's, again, a lot of people coming in and out of the metro every single day. And the service sector that's identified here includes tourism. And tourism is really been taking a lot of advantage of our outdoor assets to attract people to the area. Agritourism is a significant part of the puzzle as well for us. But our transportation system isn't just about those economic sectors. It's also about serving the agricultural needs of the region. This part of the state is less inclined to row crops, but a lot of cattle production. This map shows kind of a heat map index of the percent of cattle by MoDOT district, and you can see that there's a lot of cattle production here, and all those cows have to get places, and they don't drive. They go on big trucks. So we obviously need to use our transportation systems in that regard too. But again, one of the most important things, I think, if you take away one thing from your visit to Springfield in Southwest Missouri, first, I hope you enjoy your time here. We hope you have a great time. I wouldn't be a Chamber of Commerce president if I didn't talk about take a little time to see the sites and do some fun things while you're here. But I hope you take away partnership. And so you're going to hear from a couple of tremendous partners in this area next. It's my pleasure to introduce Dave Cameron, who's the city administrator for the City of Republic. And this is one of our biggest, most booming parts of the Southwest Missouri region. And you're going to hear a great story from him today.
Welcome, Dave.
Thank you. Thank you, Matt. Director McKenna, commissioners, thank you for the invite. Captain McCullough left, but thank you for the advice to slow down on 65 now that I know they're out there. And I apologize for all the trips that I have made. Today, I want to talk about the Amazon project. It's one of the biggest ones that obviously has taken place in our area over the last year. And I just want to go through this really, really quickly, but just to give you an oversight of what took place on this project. We received notification on June 2nd of 2020 of the Amazon's interest. By June 8th, they were on site. So in 6 days, they were here. By September, we were turning dirt on that project. And in August of this year, we opened that facility. That project, we celebrate the project, but that project never takes place without 20 years of vision, 20 years ago, building James River Freeway. Without James River Freeway, there are not 1,800 new jobs in that location and thriving today. The city invested $12 million in water and sewer infrastructure to that site. Springfield City Utilities has invested at least double in that and electric utilities to make that happen. The key point is that transportation improvements should lead to job creation. What we've seen from James River Freeway, if you look at that, it has been a tremendous employment hub for us. So thank you to the commission and all the investors and all the partners in Southwest Missouri that made that project a reality, because without it, we don't go. So I want to give you a little bit of overview, and I'm going to go through this relatively fast, but this is before Amazon. In the middle of your screen is the Amazon site, but if you look around in those pictures, this is the corridor, I-44 to your north, and James River in that picture. Everything in red was in some form of review or development before the Amazon site. Everything in the pink highlight, that is the Convoy of Hope campus, which is about a 130-acre campus. Everything in blue is something that we're already permitting. So what you'll see is after the Amazon announcement, everything starts to light up red. We're currently working on over 600 different acres of additional development on the corridor of interest based upon what was taking place. Everything in blue is now everything that is under some form of review of development that is getting ready to take place. And again, everything in pink is in development. So to break that down, this is what it looks like. The blue is the future. The pink is what is presently taking place. If I was to break that down for you in traffic counts per day, currently Republic is running about 32,000 trips per day. Watching just this corridor, I-44 and James River, we're looking to double that to 42,000 additional trips per day in the next 5 years. So as Mr. Morrow elaborated to, as we don't see our growth slowing down, and again, that is a job center, not necessarily on the residential side, that is on the commercial and industrial growth side. So again, the transportation dollars that you have invested is leading to additional job growth for our state and for our region. Just to put in perspective real quickly on the Amazon project, their investment in just employment alone represented somewhere around $750 million to the state's economy that will turn over from the employment of those workers. I think that is a huge statement to what transportation has done for us. But I want to thank the regional team, Director McKenna, Steve Campbell, Stacy Reese, Frank Miller, and the whole Southwest team. I know last Labor Day weekend, Director McKenna was placed. We were shoving a letter to him because we wanted to turn dirt by September. It was indicative upon that signature from Director McKenna to get that letter drafted. And on Labor Day weekend, I asked Steve Campbell, we've got to get this signed. And on the Monday following Labor Day, at the end of business on Tuesday, they promised that letter would be delivered and signed. And I want to thank you because that's what started the initiation that allowed us to meet the deadline to turn dirt by September 15th. To have less than 90 days from beginning of the call to start turning dirt is unprecedented. And your team locally, they worked an extra effort. And I'm going to be the first one because my next bullet point, I was the one that's probably the most critical to need, not of the staff or the team. They worked effortlessly. But what the project unveiled for us during that time was the need for additional resources at MoDOT. They were trying to take on this project in 90 days or less, plus the overall region and the work that they do. I think Steve has 23 counties. And so we're requesting, I'm requesting additional resources paid. Director McKenna, I appreciate your comments about the need, losing 800 employees. We're seeing those losses because when we're applying for these projects, we're seeing the delta in staffing and their ability to review it. I do not take away from their effort. It's just they need more of them, and we'd like to see them stay there. We're hiring those folks, and I hate to say that we're part of the people hiring your employees, but I'd like to see more of those people stay, and I encourage that to do that. I want to thank you for your investment in MM. We're going to be partnering on that project as well. Greene County's invested $1.5 million. But what I will tell you from that investment, again, we've demonstrated from those maps with 42,000 additional trips per day, we will make your money and your investment create more jobs. It's not just upon you, it's upon us as local leaders to make those events happen. I promise you, I assure you, we're working very hard to make that happen. When you see over 600 or 700 acres of potential development from your investment, from your vision, it makes a difference. And so with that, I thank you again for being here, the opportunity to visit with you last night. And with that, I will turn it over to our OTO director, Ms. Sarah Fields. Thank you.
Hi, Sarah.
Hello.
If you'd have gone first, I wouldn't have had that gaff earlier.
I appreciate you not thinking I'm Dave or Matt. That's great. So Republic isn't the only community in our area with the needs. We have just wrapped up our long-range transportation plan, identifying $2.5 billion in transportation needs. And we're currently prioritizing 118 projects for the upcoming STEP development. This is a picture of the spreadsheet that we use with a data-driven process. We have 11 criteria that we assess when looking at these projects. Of course, number one on the list is safety. Safety gets the most points. It's weighted the highest. We also look at things like disadvantaged populations, if there are multimodal opportunities. We weight our higher traffic volumes as well because we want to make sure that our interstate and our freeway system is flowing. We know if it's not, that backs up the rest of our system. We also look at a volume to capacity ratio. And I also would like to thank the local district staff because as we go through these priorities and these meetings, they sit there with us and they talk about the difficulties and the possible solutions and the possible cost. And so we may not all be experts on the engineering side, but they really help us with that and we appreciate it. So I included a map. The map on my left is where we have higher volumes than we have capacity. And so the darker the color, the worse the conditions. But the map on the right is the safety issues that we have. And everything in every color yellow has a crash of some kind on it. But those darker roadways almost always correspond with where we have a volume problem. So we have people with unexpected stops crashing into each other. And so I just wanted to make the point that it's not all about improving capacity for our roads. It's about improving safety as well. I've listed our top 5 projects, which come to $150 million. A lot of these are focused on the growth that is happening in the northwest part of our region. But as we wrap those up, it's becoming very apparent with the STIP prioritization that these problems are a problem now. It's not an upcoming problem. It's not an economic development issue for us. It's a safety issue that's mounting on I-44 and Highway 13 and US 60. I handed out a copy of last year's, well, this year, but the last legislative session priorities that we distributed. We distributed these both in January and in March of last year. On one side, were the legislation, but on the other side were our top 5 projects. We spoke with our legislators about our trust in the collaborative process that we have with MoDOT and our belief that the fuel tax funds would go to work on these projects. We trusted that MoDOT would use the established funding formula and planning process that was in place to address those regional priorities. So, I can't tell you the number of calls that I took, do we believe MoDOT will fund these projects that we've selected? Yes. Yes, we believe that. We believe that we've gone through a process and they have faith in the process and that we've worked together. And so we use that to build support around the passage of Senate Bill 262. And I'd just like to encourage you to stay that course and help us meet the expectations that we set with the passage of that fuel tax bill. So one of the projects that, I think I'm missing a slide. Well, one of the projects that I wanted to highlight was I-44, which cost about $55 million. We're looking at an additional lane to get traffic moving, an auxiliary lane, the replacement of 6 bridges, sound walls, and interchange improvements at MM. This is actually a picture sent to me by the Ebenezer Fire Chief. And this is westbound I-44 at the Highway 13 interchange. And his point, of course, was not only do we have backups on 13, but also on I-44. And so what we see time and time again is stalled traffic. People come up fast, crash into the back of a truck, and then the next person crashes. And then we have the highway patrol, and then we don't have room for the workers to work the emergency scene because we only have the 2 lanes, and it just compounds. So This is a project that MoDOT applied for an infra grant back in 2020, and we'd like to revive that conversation, possibly even looking at expanding that. So the 1344 interchange, this was the first DDI in the United States, and we're really proud of it, back in 2009. And it was working well, and it was accommodating traffic. And now it no longer is. We've reached capacity in a short 10-year time frame. The biggest delay we've clocked is southbound coming from Bolivar into Springfield at 20 minutes. The Traffic Management Center here, staffed by MoDOT and City of Springfield, worked hard looking at that, and we do have it down to running between a 10 and 15-minute delay now, which, nobody in the public was thrilled with that, but it's a little bit better. So in an effort to speed along any improvements, OTO, Greene County, and the City of Springfield have all split the cost of a study that we will begin this fall to determine the best solution. Unfortunately, we are very aware that we need a new bridge. It's a Condition 5 bridge, and so it's not going to be a cheap solution. I've got it at about $30 million. We may need a flyover. We may need to relocate intersections. We really are looking for innovative engineering solutions there. So with the current STIP funding, and I'm sorry we're missing some blanks there, but what it should say is all of those years add up to about $18 million that is available for projects. Now, I'm not talking about projects that are already programmed in this STIP or total funding, but what's left. So there's about $18 million over the next 5 years. And we have $150 million in projects that we need to fund. It's really not going to meet our needs, but we are appreciative of that funding and working together to move our projects forward. And we are very hopeful that the fuel tax will help us to do that. We have a running spreadsheet that we maintain with the district, and since 1998, we've had $400 million in cost share projects with our cities and counties. And yes, it improves safety and congestion. Undoubtedly, those projects have done that. But they've also improved maintenance. A lot of these projects have been bridge projects, interchanges that replace a bridge, which, as we know, the life of a bridge is only so long. We have a whole lot of them coming up. And so what this has done is really helped with the asset management funding for our district, because we don't have to go back and do these bridges now that we would have had to. So, of course, we know that we want to help pay for the $150 million in projects, and we continue to search for ways to do that. One way is earmarks. We've worked actively with our legislative delegation to seek earmarks, and we do have a couple in the House bill if it were to pass. We are planning to do a raise grant application, probably on Highway MM, to look at those improvements. And we'd like your support to do an infra application. We've been talking to MoDOT staff about the possibility of doing that. We are willing to help fund that application cost because it's not cheap, but we do feel like the time is now to strike with a new infrastructure bill before everybody else in the country gets on board. Maybe we can be in line. I just wanted to say thank you. For your work and your service and your time. And we know Missouri's, a very beautiful and diverse state, and we have a lot of different issues that need to be worked on. And thanks for listening for our update. And I just wanted to thank Patrick and MoDOT staff for all of their help, in our presentation, but also in the innovative financing and the project delivery. We really appreciate that and the partnership that we share. And I know that any of us are available for questions.
Any questions or comments for the group here?
Well, I would just say you are the poster children of public planning and transportation down here. I mean, you've just done a wonderful job over the years, and you're continuing to do so. And I think you're going to see more and more of this warehousing. We're building them all over the country. It's just, I'm amazed how much of this is going on, and we'll be here to be your partner.
Thank
in the future.
Very good. Anybody else?
I do. Ms. Sarah, the list of 5, right now, those are on tier 1, tier 2 unfunded needs. Is that correct?
I did check those, and yes, they are.
Okay. which ones are on tier one? So Highway 13's on tier one. Do you have that handy? I mean, it's not a big deal. I'm just curious.
I do have it if you'll give me 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Highway 13's on tier 1, and tier 2 is Highway 60, I-44, MM, of course. So yeah, I would say generally between tier 1 and tier 2, because all of those are 60, 44, 13.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Sure.
If I might, I'd just like to ask a question of Sarah. You know, the commission started this process a couple of years ago to, I think it's important that when we build a STIP, you know, a 5-year plan, that's fiscally constrained by necessity and federal requirement. And then we have long-range plans. And it really struck all of us that we had a gap between those long-range visioning documents and the here and now of the construction program. And the work, I can't tell you how seriously all of our planning partners, but you know, this region in particular, went to work to not, you can see these are not boondoggle requests. I don't think we have one of those in Missouri in our whole thing. And it strikes our colleagues across the country when I've shown that unfunded needs list. These are the things that are definite improvements that everyone can see the benefit to and the need for, whether it's safety or otherwise. But the work to do data analysis of all of the conditions and all of the factors going in, and to do project selection based on that, and then to have that kind of window in that between that 5 and that 10 and 20-year vision, to say these are the things that need to be funded, not just in a broad visioning statement, but in a real sense, so that we can pipeline, start scoping these things when we have additional dollars to actually start moving into the project development cycle, so that we are ready for infra grant applications, discretionary money, federal bills, and things like that. I just wanted to see if, you know, from your perspective, do you think, has that been helpful? Can we improve that? Do you want to see that continue? That's just kind of a baseline question.
So one thing that I really appreciate about MODI is the quantity and the availability of the data. I mean, they have a website that OTO staff goes to and just downloads it into our mapping program and can illustrate it many different ways, score it, rank it. And honestly, Director McKenna, your staff is very responsive to our request. We were using a 3-year accident rate and said, hey, we really want to do a 5-year. Can we do that? And they said, well, not yet, but let us work on it. And they worked on it, and 6 months later came in, here you go. So I think if we have suggestions, that we're able to make those.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else? Great. And I think the other neat part of the presentation is you know, if you build it, they will come, and to see the economic boom that has followed the construction to date and the improvements to date is amazing. It just tells the story of what's to come again and what could be. So thank you. Thank you to everybody that presented today. Appreciate you being here. Okay, let's do a little MoDOT business. Travis Kessner is the state design engineer, and he's got some bids for us to look at. Travis?
Yes, I do. Chairman Waters, Commission, Director McKenna. It's good to be back in Springfield. I'll attest to the partnership. It's fun to do jobs down here. You know, everybody's on the same page. Let's get some work done. That's why we do this, right? So speaking of work, I'm here for the August 20th bid opening, where we had 11 calls, 36 bids, and pretty short and sweet. We recommend the following today, and that's to award all calls to the lowest responsive bidder, except call B01 in Northeast District. We recommend rejection of B01 due to excessive bids per section 102.15 of the standard specs. So that's our recommendations for you today.
Right, any questions? Is there a motion?
I move we accept the recommendation.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We accept the recommendation. All bids except B01. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Travis. You have an update on your budget?
Yeah, we had, for Focus on Bridges, we had 3 Focus on Bridges this month. They were 74,000 under. Overall, we're at 199 for awards for Focus on Bridges. So getting pretty close to that 200 mark. And we're right on budget, about 74,000 under budget with those. Overall, we're at 262.4 million for the year, which is 0.6% over budget. Really don't worry about that 0.6% over budget. That just means we're doing a good job spending the money. We estimate the jobs well to begin with. So next letting's 102 million. Then after that, we have another $100 million letting, and then we get a big one at 230 plus million. So we're really busy, district staff and everybody's really busy right now. This is kind of the calm before the storm. So
Great. Thank you, Travis.
all right, thank you.
Always say, the public doesn't pay taxes to watch it sit in the bank account. So it's good we're out there getting things done. So Steve Campbell is the Southwest District Engineer, and he's going to present an update from the Southwest District. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Director McKenna, Madam Secretary, I am Steve Campbell. Welcome to the Southwest District, and it's my pleasure to share with you some information about our district. Pointed here. There we go. Okay, so who is the Southwest District? We are the Southwest 21 counties of the state. We have a pretty significant system with over 13,000 square miles of geographic area, 6,500 plus centerline miles, and 1,830 plus bridges. I wanted to talk just a minute, as some of our other presenters did, on the growth of our area. What you're looking at here on the screen is really just some indications to you on how our communities are growing versus the rest of the state. We are growing on average more so than the rest of the state. In some areas, 3 to 5 times what you're seeing across the rest of the state. You can't really come to the Southwest District without talking a little bit about bridges. What we're keying here on and you're looking at is the entirety of all the bridges in the state of Missouri, shown to you by both number and class, poor condition, fair condition, and good condition bridges. But I want to key in on that right side of the graph. That's the Southwest and the Southeast District. And really what I'm trying to focus on is that for a number of years in the Southwest District, the number of good condition bridges has diminished while the number of poor condition bridges has increased. And that's a problem. And that is a problem that we have been actively targeting a solution to. And if you can look there on the 2019 data, you will see that we feel like we have found the peak of our poor condition bridges, and we think we're there. At least it's plateaued, but it's going to be up to a consistent commitment to the plan in place to try and drive that number even lower. So what have we been doing? I think it begs that question. Well, first off, we do employ 2 regional bridge crews within the Southwest District, one out of Springfield, one out of Joplin, and we use these folks to our advantage. The picture that you're looking at here on the left side of that screen is actually what we found during an inspection on a bridge west of Nevada. And what you're looking at is actually the bearing components of that structure on the end band. Water had deteriorated, had eroded the material under the bridge and exposed the bearing components and significantly delaminated them to the point a hand tool could rip them apart. But because we actually have the expertise within the organization, both regionally and statewide, we had the ability to put a plan together very quickly. And over the course of 40 days, we actually went in and made the repairs with our own forces. We propped up the bridge temporarily. We cut out the piling one by one, and then we built them back. And you can see on the right side, the completed work will report a little foundation wall up against it to combat the erosion. But I share this story just really to highlight the importance of employ those people. Gives us an opportunity to combat this type of stuff very quickly. We did have to close that section of 54 highway while we did the repairs, but I think it's a real success story. What else are we doing? We're a big fan of design build corridor bridge bundles down here. And what you're looking at here is really just our logo for our next one. This is our Interstate 44 corridor bridge bundle. And this is on the heels of Project Bridge Rebuild, which was the first I-44 design build that we went through in a bridge bundle. But this one follows on the heels, and this will follow the similar corridor. But what we're doing different in this one is that we're also pulling in a parallel corridor north and south of Interstate 44 and bridges throughout that. But we're actually moving through the process pretty well. We have shortlisted. We're very excited about what these teams are going to bring to the table, and really looking forward to the next steps. I have to talk a little bit about our planning partners in the Southwest District. We're here in the heart of the urban center, and we work with the Ozarks Transportation Organization here locally to plan projects. And you just heard from Sarah, but we also have 5 other planning partners throughout the district in the rural components, and they're listed here for your information. But the point I want to try to stress here is that the benefit we get from all of these groups and bringing local priorities to a regional level and working through and prioritizing them takes a lot of effort. It's a commitment on their part, and it requires an engagement level on them to get to the desired end result. And we're very fortunate in the Southwest District with the planning partners that we have, and I think they deserve a lot of credit. You know, we talk about staffing all the time. This is a snapshot in time. No different than the other districts. We struggle filling vacancies. I think this is a couple weeks old now, but we have, upwards of close to 90 vacancies. The bulk of those are in our maintenance and operations, but it's not limited to that. It's not. Throughout every department within the district, we have opportunities for people right now. Had to share this slide. I just think this is a really cool slide. We spent a lot of time over the winter talking about what we can do from an affirmative action standpoint, where we can improve, how we can do better at hiring people. And one thing that came out of that was some banners, some better advertising locally. And I was just so stoked when I drove through one of our local sheds in Mount Vernon just the other day and saw this picture. I had to take a picture of it. It certainly is having the desired effect. And we had a lot of people knocking on the door looking for employment. I don't know if they'll accept the jobs once they see what we're paying, but it's having the desired effect. And we're trying to hang those up anywhere and everywhere. Okay, so I talked a little bit about some emergency bridge work. I also want to give credit to our local maintenance folks. The captain referenced a sinkhole earlier. That was a big challenge for us. It was in the median of Interstate 44 at the 76-mile marker, which is right where you hit Interstate 44 coming from the general aviation terminal. So that resulted in a long-term closure of the passing lane of Interstate 44 in the heart of Springfield, 24/7. And very impactful. I don't know that you could have a more impactful work zone, but within 2 hours of my call to the good captain, he had staff on site shadowing my people, your people out there that were on foot trying to pursue the work. And it's stuff like that is just really a true testament to the patrol and the way we partner and collaborate within the Southwest District. But back to the sinkhole, what you had here was another really good example of the benefits we enjoy through employing the expertise institutionally to go about not only understanding what we're dealing with, but developing the appropriate solution and putting it into place within, in this situation, 5 days. We had the traffic restored, but we're very fortunate within the Southwest District to not only have good operational and maintenance staff, we also employ a registered geologist. And when you're dealing with the karst topography that we often encounter down here, it's a very critical piece of our team. Talked about the patrol, and you heard from the patrol, so he kind of stole my thunder, but I think they deserve a lot of credit. I really do. In the instance with the sinkhole, 100% of the time where we had staff physically on foot in that work zone on Interstate 44, they were there with us. They impacted, their employees. They were there physically present with us, and the sheer presence, as he explained, and the visibility that they bring to a work zone that's that impactful to traffic, it's just phenomenal. What they are able to do in driver behavior is something we have been unable to do. They're a very valuable partner with us. And we can't give them enough credit. But we don't just work in work zones. We do all kinds of stuff together. They're a big advocate for buckle up, phone down. They're there when we call. The bridge event that I talked about earlier, they were also there. That was we actually had to close it. We had to go head to head. But in each and every time that we have called upon them to assist us, they've been there to assist. And we owe them a great deal of credit. Okay, so what you're looking at here is a rendering of a job on the south side of Springfield. This is actually the interchange project at Glenstone and Republic Road. That's Glenstone coming down from the upper right. That's Republic Road coming down from the left side. And that's James River that kind of cuts through the middle of it. But we're in the middle of a project with geometric improvements to realign the connection of those two routes, plus the little road that comes off on the lower right. That's Nature Center Way, and really improve the geometry and functionality of that entire area. And at the same time, we're adding additional lanes on the James River to address some congestion and capacity. And I can't not speak about this project. This is our I-49 Missouri-Arkansas connector. This does represent the last 5 miles of Interstate 49 within the state of Missouri. Formerly known as the Bella Vista Bypass. It's a $70 million investment in transportation to solve some real problems in Southwest Missouri. It's a bit of a dinosaur of a project. This is not what we do typically these days. This is relocated cross-country work, mass grading, and just some really, really neat stuff. But we led it on an accelerated schedule. We timed it with the state of Arkansas, and we are very, very happy to assure you that in just 3 short weeks, we're going to be opening that thing to traffic. And I'd like to close by talking just a minute about some of our people. What you're seeing here are the last 7 recipients of what we deem to be our purposefully positive peer recognition program. It's a mouthful to say, at least quickly. But what we're trying to do is celebrate positivity and good work product. So it's a peer recognition program. They pass it. We only ask that they try to recognize somebody out there outside of their individual work units, because I think that promotes good situational awareness. But all of these people are excellent examples of some of the people that we were fortunate enough to employ. And I think the director said it best yesterday when he was talking about the successes we've had have really come on the backs of our employees. And these are just really good faces of awesome people that are part of this MoDOT team, and all the credit in the world. And with that, that's the end of my presentation. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Comments or questions for Steve?
No, just a comment, Steve. Good. It's good when you've got people that you can take out on an emergency situation like that and just get it fixed so quick. That's just the kind of people that we've got, and we're fortunate, and we don't recognize them enough, I think. But it's great. You got a great team in the Southwest.
I think so.
Appreciate your hard work.
Thank you, Greg.
You know, Mr. Chairman, Steve, I don't know if you can quickly go back to your first slide, the introductory slide. But while he's doing that, you know, when we had the bill signing down here and asked for some participation, Steve and his team came up with, I thought, a really fantastic idea to recognize some of those unbelievable people at MoDOT. But they sent their team of meritorious award winners, and they're represented there in that picture up at the top. And, you know, we've had many months, I think we had 5 or 6 months in a row where we had either one or more. These are life-saving individuals, people that have put themselves in harm's way to help others. And I just thought that's an example of Steve's leadership here in the district, to instantly think, how can we turn, you know, an event like this into something that's even more than the event itself, but it's recognizing those individuals that have really put it out there. And I was so glad. You can see many of them are holding signed copies of SB 26 governor signed there that day. So that was good thinking and great recognition. But
Yeah.
I don't know if a lot of people realized that, but that was great to be able to recognize that extraordinary team
Yeah.
within a pretty extraordinary team.
That's neat. Thanks for pointing that out, Patrick. Yeah.
They were pretty moved.
Yeah.
Pretty
Good.
neat. They got a souvenir forever.
Anybody else? Steve, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate the work you're doing here. All right, I was looking around the room for our next speaker, and Todd Grosvenor's hiding way back there behind Travis, and I was starting to sweat a little bit. I wonder where he is. I found him. So
Yes, sir.
Todd is the Financial Services Director, and he's going to talk today about our appropriations for the fiscal year 2022. Todd, floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. Chairman Waters, happy birthday. Commissioners, Director McKenna. Today, we're seeking approval of two appropriation requests, the fiscal year 2023 appropriation request and the fiscal year 2022 supplemental appropriation request. The fiscal year 2023 appropriation request for House Bill 4 totals $4.1 billion. It's $340 million or 9.1% more than the fiscal year 2022 budget. Today's presentation will talk about some of the significant increases in this request. We're also requesting an additional $74 million for fiscal year 2022. These requests don't include fringe benefits for Social Security and unemployment benefits that are part of House Bill 4. Office of Administration puts that in House Bill 5, and that's about $23 million. Okay, we'll start off with this budget timeline, give you kind of an idea. In the financial world, it's interesting. You're closing out fiscal year 21, you're in 22, and you're already getting ready for 23. So you got a lot of stuff juggling at the same time, but it's fun. What this shows you is where we are today, the current step, which is highlighted in red there. The process of compiling this, though, started way back in March on the left-hand side. And it's a team effort with the districts and divisions working with financial services to pull this all together. We're required by law to submit our request to the state budget director by October 1, which is quickly approaching. And these are the requests that we will follow through the legislative process. Once the legislature approves the appropriations, we'll come back to you for your approval prior to the fiscal year. In my 30 some odd year career at MoDOT, I know engineers like charts, so try to put a little charts in some of our financial presentations. I like charts too, though. So this pie chart here kind of breaks it up to see where the money is going, the different appropriation categories. As you can see, their program delivery is 55%. That's a pretty big part of the pie. And safety operations of 11%. Multimodal of 6%. That's where several of our increased funding requests come from. And our refunds and transfers there towards the top, 18%. Those are needed for accounting purposes to move money from fund to fund. And in these requests for the fiscal year 2022, we've got transfers of $54 million, and in 23, $150 million. And those are associated with Senate Bill 262, transferring that additional state motor fuel tax revenue through the accounting process. As with every year's appropriation request, we request additional funds for our employees. And as we discussed yesterday in our workshop for workforce challenges, we're requesting an additional $45 million for proposed market adjustments for employees' salaries. Now, this will include modifying the current salary structure to optimize it and make it more competitive with market, establishing a market competitive midpoints for all salary ranges, and advancing employees towards the midpoint more quickly based on tenure. We're also requesting $13.3 million for additional staffing to deliver and maintain a larger construction program because of the additional state and federal funding that's coming our way. For safety and operations, we're requesting an increase of $6.8 million. This includes $5 million to account for our increasing costs in roadway materials due to inflation. For the last several years, we've not kept up with that, and this year we're requesting additional to keep up with those impacts of inflation. We're We're also requesting additional funds for travel costs for winter operations and an implementation of a radio tower maintenance plan. Program delivery, we're requesting an increase of $148 million for the program delivery budget for contractor payments, right-of-way purchases, and design consulting costs. This request is in response to the additional funding we'll be getting with Amendment 3 bond proceeds, the CARES Act money, and the anticipated state motor fuel tax money we'll be getting from Senate Bill 262. This is about 11% increase. We're also requesting an increase of $55 million for the additional debt service payments associated with the planned Amendment 3 bond issuance. Fleet Facilities and Information Systems, an increase of $6.6 million. We have rest area improvements of $4.2 million planned. This is to comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act and also to provide additional parking spaces. Also included are some waste station improvements and $1.5 million for some required fleet repairs. Missouri State Transit Assistance Program is one of the smallest state programs in the nation. So we're requesting an additional $7 million of general revenue to help defray operating and capital costs for the public transportation providers throughout the state. Plan Act, referred to as the ARPA federal funds, that are allocated to the transit and aviation programs. And finally, for the freight development program, we're requesting an additional $2.3 million to better connect the transportation modes for safe and efficient movement of freight throughout the state. So we are asking you to approve the two appropriation requests as stated in your materials. Are there any questions that we can address for you?
Questions or comments for Todd?
Not really a question. Todd, just thank you for your presentation today. Thank you for presentation today. And there are two major actions the commission takes each year, and one is to approve the STEP, which we did in July, and the other is to approve the budget. And this appropriation request is part of the process that leads to the commission's actions on the budget. It's crucial at this time, but the workforce challenge continues to be the big challenge, and we're pleased this time the appropriation request including funding to address that. So anything, Jay, wherever you're at, Brenda, Patrick, that this commission, I'm speaking for these guys, but that I can do, and I'm sure speaking for them to help get this approved, I'm more than willing to help you guys with anything you need. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Todd.
Thank you, sir.
With that, is there a motion to approve these requests?
Second.
Been moved and second. Motion, the recommendations on the screen in front of you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Todd.
Hey, Todd, before you leave, one other thing that I think we really need to touch on is not only are we acting on this next fiscal year's appropriation, but we're also acting on a supplemental appropriation to try to address some of these issues that we've had with our dump truck fleet. This hydraulic issue that we have is something that if we're going to provide that level of service going into our snow season, we've certainly got to address it and make sure that that equipment's ready for our staff out in the field. So I just think it's important that we note that, and to echo the comments that Commissioner Smith made, we're here to help any way we can. Anything we can do, don't feel like you're put out by asking. Ask, because we're here to help.
Appreciate that. Yeah, and with the dump trucks, we were not waiting until 23. We've got that in the
We've got
22
to, yeah.
supplemental request, so we can jump right on that and get that fixed.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
it.
Great. Thanks, Todd, and thanks to your team. Okay, we're going to move now. We're winding down our meeting. We're going to move to public comments. I don't have anything in front of me. Pam, do we have any public comments? Not today. Okay, just a reminder, we do offer that at all our meetings and ask that people sign up in advance for that. So we're going to move to comments from the commissioners. We like to give each commissioner a chance to provide comments at the end of the meeting. And I've got Commissioner Boatwright first this year. Perfect.
Thank you, Chairman Waters. You know, as I was sitting here listening to all the talks that we had today, and of course the workshop that we had yesterday, it's just a really exciting time to be in the work of infrastructure on a state level. The passage of 262 really says to the rest of the United States that Missouri is serious about investing in our future, and something that our forefathers did for us. I mean, none of us would be sitting here today if that investment hadn't have been put in the past. So now it's our turn to not only maintain what we have, but to also make adjustments and to invest in our future generations. So it's very exciting that this place that we're at, the team that we have, the leadership that we have at MoDOT, you know, I getting to see it firsthand, getting to see the partners throughout the state talk about how professional and just the amount that the folks care, that it doesn't matter if it's at the senior leadership level, if it's at the district level, at the maintenance level, it doesn't matter. That commitment to Missourians is there at every level. So it's very exciting. This point that we're at, I think we've got the team to deliver this increasing program over the coming years. So just a very exciting time to echo or to touch back on the unfunded needs list. I know Ms. Sarah, the 5 projects that she outlined on the unfunded needs, you know, it really goes to show that the work that's been put in on the front end in anticipation to get to the point that we're at, not only for additional funding, but even the redistribution of funding at the federal level. Missouri's in a position to compete for those dollars as well as any state out there. And we're there because of the partnership through the regional planning authorities, and also the leadership and the workload that our senior leaders and the districts have made going through the process. So just really exciting to see all of this kind of come together. And we're here, like as Commissioner Smith said, we're here to help in any way we can. So thank each and every one of you for being here today.
Thanks, Dustin. Commissioner Briscoe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I want to first say it's really been neat to be back here in Springfield and to see everything that's going on here with MoDOT in Southwest Missouri and with the entire Southwest Missouri region, and I appreciate that. I also want to say I feel very good about the relationship that the commission has with each other and with our staff, and about the manner in which we dealt with the various subjects we discussed yesterday in open and closed meetings. And I believe that's enough, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, John. Commissioner Smith.
Well, it's always hard when you go second or third. But anyway, I just want to echo what Commissioner Boatwright said. It's great to be back in Springfield. I kind of feel like this was my home down here. I got lots of friends as I look out here in this area. And thank you, Steve, for your leadership. I'm proud to live in the Southwest District and you be my district engineer. So, but anyway, look forward. We got lots of good things in the working. Look forward to getting this budget all done and behind us. And again, as he said and I said, we're there to help you guys, whatever you need. That's part of our job. So I appreciate it. It's good to be back here. Pam, thank you. Jennifer, for putting on a good road show down here. And travel safe. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Commissioner Brinkman.
Yeah, this is the second time I've been back in the last 20 years. I came down here in 92 and built your Walmart and Lowe's and over that new James River Expressway. And I thought, who put this road through this farm ground out here? And, it just shows if you build it, they'll come, but they still keep coming 20 years later. I was amazed to see the farm ground around that still in that Cox Hospital area over there. So you all have just done a wonderful job down here. And it's exciting to be on a commission when we might have a little bit more money for you and to see all the hard work you've done. And you really are the poster children for this planning process that goes on around here. My only other comment is this fatalities. We had a good friend. His son was killed in St. Louis last week. Just going to work, came off, no seatbelt, hit the side of a cliff. I don't understand why people don't put seatbelts on. We're losing 1,000 Missourians every year. 70% of them are not wearing seatbelts. So go home and tell your kids and your grandkids, put those belts on. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Bob. Commissioner Eckert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I just want to thank
Terry, hit your button.
First of all, I just want to thank the city of Springfield for all your hospitality last night and hosting the meeting. It's always great to be in Springfield. I love this area down here. And I want to comment that on the workshop that we had yesterday, I appreciate that. And I hope that we can take that information and use it to educate the general public and the General Assembly. The thing that hit home with me yesterday was that starting wage for a maintenance worker is $30,000, and yet we have consternation in the General Assembly about raising wages, and they're getting $36,000 for a part-time job. So, I mean, our people are out there working in a hazardous work environment a lot of time. It just doesn't make sense. So I just hope the MoDOT employees understand that we are supportive of getting them a wage increase, and we're doing everything that we possibly can because they deserve it. I also want to say that wish Tom a happy birthday and just thank him for his leadership over the past year as chairman of the commission. And with that, buckle up, phone down.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I just have a comment. Last night, I asked about a guy I said I hadn't seen for a long time, and I look up in the crowd, and there's Dan from Senator Blunt's office. I was just talking about you last night. Thank you for being here.
Dan, sorry I missed you earlier. Appreciate you being here. Okay, well, I guess it's my turn. It's my
Run the timer here.
my comment's going to center around a little announcement. I'm planning on stepping down as the chairman later this afternoon, and in order to allow some of these other guys to be the chairman, timing wise, it's best for me to step down. I've done it for a year, and it's really been an honor and a pleasure to be the chairman. And I just thought back some of the things that's happened over the last year, and remember we had that cloud of COVID over us during all this stuff, but a lot of great things have gotten done in the last year. And first off, the Senate Bill 262 and getting that passed. That's been a long issue since I've been on the commission. We've pounded for more money, and we finally made some steps there. And I'm looking forward to see how that money coming in is going to benefit the whole work that we do. And then thinking projects we have going on now, starting to work on the I-70 Roachport Bridge, the big project across the Missouri River, and then Buck O'Neill Bridge in the Kansas City area across the Missouri. And then we got the I-270 project in St. Louis. These are all huge projects that there's just an incredible amount of work leading up to the projects, let alone the project themselves. So some great things going on in MoDOT. I'm also excited about seeing some more money directed towards our minor and low volume roads and improving the transportation system and the safety for the agricultural community. We're starting up the Missouri Coalition for Roadway Safety and working with our partners across the state and different agencies to hopefully reduce some of those fatalities we're talking about and make safety improvements. Of course, safety is the primary goal of this commission, and I think that coalition's gonna be helpful, and I'm looking forward to seeing that work. And then, the employees commission has always been dedicated to employees, and we know we have a problem keeping help, finding help, and they're really the ones that work every day to make sure the traveling public has a safe and reliable transportation system. And MoDOT has a lot of challenges. This is right up there at the top. And I think we're going to work hard to provide competitive wage and work environment for these folks. And so I think we're all here dedicated to do that. I'm looking forward to continuing on the commission under new leadership, and I'm excited about moving forward and just thank my fellow commissioners for the opportunity for me to serve as the chairman here. So with that, we're going to take a recess, and we'll be back in this room at noon. Is that right, Pam? And so if you're going to stay for the workshop at noon, that's fine. If not, I'll let you know our next commission meeting, if I can find it here in my notes. Help me, Pam. I lost it. What's the date of our next meeting? Pam lost it too.
October 2nd, 3rd, isn't it?
October 7th in St. Louis. We're going to visit Bob's place. So next meeting will be October 7th. Is there any other business to come before the commission at this time? If not, we'll stand recessed until noon. Thank you.
Good job, Mr. Chairman.